Coming up in the news tonight, the Electoral Board of Elections has published the list of candidates qualified for upcoming regional elections. 14 political parties, 106 lists, and the Central region may be the fiercest battleground for the elections of traditional rulers. The government of Cameroon has started explaining ways of accelerating the restitution of civil status documents for IDPs and ex-combatants. Plus, GCE O-level and A-level results have been published. Shouts of joy emanating from houses and families whose kids made it through. And GCE board says there was an improvement in the performance this year. Good evening and welcome to the 7:30 newscast. I am Benin Bumagana in Yaoundé.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
This is coming to you live from Studio 5 of the Crtv Production Center in Balatu. 14 political parties will contest for the category of delegates of divisions in regional council elections with a total of 106 lists. The lists of candidates who are qualified to stand for the elections were published today in Yaoundé by the Electoral Board of Elekam. Ibneza Kanga attended the ceremony to publish the list and brought back this report.
The Electoral Board of Elekam received a total of 115 lists from 16 political parties for the category of delegates of divisions in the upcoming regional council elections. After scrutinizing the candidacy files, 106 lists from 14 political parties have been accepted, 9 lists from 4 political parties rejected, and 2 files from independent candidates also rejected. The 14 parties to take part in elections are the CPDM, NUDP, PCRN, FDC, PAR, RPD, PUS, RNDD, UPC, FSNC, MDR, MLDC, UMS, and UDC.
We know what we are doing, and we know what we will do to win this election. We don't stand for nothing. We stand because we have argument, and those arguments, I am sure that it will convene our major electors, and we will be elected.
We are satisfied because we are everywhere in all constituencies, and we will try to do the best to win these elections.
The publication of the lists of candidates marks an important step forward in the organization of the regional council elections.
And then 111 lists of candidates submitted by first, second, and third-class chiefs for the category of representatives of traditional rulers have been accepted by the Electoral Board of Elekam, while 9 lists were rejected. The Central region, with a total of 36 lists, promises to be the fiercest battleground for the election of representatives of traditional rulers in the regional election. Beatrice Losamba with the list for the region.
A satisfactory end for candidates who found their lists among the 111 accepted by the Electoral Board of Elections Cameroon for the category of representatives of traditional rulers.
I'm very satisfied because the first step, which was a compilation of the dossiers, was a very tedious one, anxious bound, and then this wait that we had for Elekam to do this exercise they have done. Now that it's over, I would have to go and rest and prepare myself and my team for the 6th of December elections.
But some were not lucky to go through. 9 lists submitted were rejected. The Central region, with 36 lists accepted for the category of representatives of traditional rulers in view of the December 6, 2020 regional council elections, is definitely the #1 battleground, with competition promising to be stiffest in the Nyong and Kele, which has 7 lists accepted. The Far North region, second competition ground in the race to choose representatives of traditional rulers to regional councils, has 12 lists, the highest number of challengers registered in the Logun and Shari. The South region has 10 lists, coming in third place just before the East with 9 lists. The Littoral, West and Northwest also have multiple lists in some divisions. The Adamawa, North and Southwest regions in all divisions each maintained single lists for candidates in the category of traditional rulers representatives.
The publication of lists of candidates for the regional council elections begins the chapter of pre-electoral litigations, if any, there will be. Ibneza Akanga asks the chairman of the Electoral Board of Elekam, Eno Abrams Egbe, what next after the publication? Take a listen.
What next? Those who think they have a problem will go to the administrative courts. They have 5 days to do this. At the same time, Elections Cameroon starts working. The printing of ballot papers, printing of electoral bulletins, everything is being made place. And don't forget also the transfer to the different regions. It's a huge work that has to be done. So there's no rest here till December 6th.
This time, the government of Cameroon is exploiting ways and means of accelerating the restitution of civil status documents for internally displaced persons and ex-combatants who have lost their identification papers. Prime Minister Joseph John Gute today presided over a meeting grouping members of government, security services and related administrations to look for practical solutions to the problem. Star Building correspondent Christian Che Atam reports.
Thousands of Cameroonians from the northwest, southwest and far north regions today cannot show proof of their nationality. They lost their civil status documents during or in the course of escaping from armed conflicts. As a result, many cannot sit for official exams or search for employment. Their lives are at a standstill. The meeting convened by Prime Minister Joseph John Gute had one objective: explore ways of restituting documents for internally displaced persons and ex-combatants rapidly, while at the same time protecting the Cameroonian nationality. All the different ministries and security services concerned with civil status registration were present at the meeting. They examined the legal provisions for such an operation as well as its implications. At the end of the session, Prime Minister, Head of Government, Joseph John Gute, set up a committee to draw up a functional strategy which can permit the accelerated restitution of civil status documents for IDPs and ex-combatants. The committee has been given 21 days to present results. Joseph John Gute declared that the restitution of identification papers will encourage many persons who left the 3 regions because of armed conflict and who are still in hiding to return. He said it will also permit students and pupils who have been victims of armed conflict to have a chance of pursuing their education.
Results of the 2019-2020 session of the General Certificate of Education, GCE Ordinary and Advanced Levels examinations have been made public by the GCE Board. According to statistics from the GCE Board, the performance of candidates moved from 61% in 2019 to 64% this time, 2020. Gilbert Ongene visited some schools and neighborhoods in Yaoundé after the release of the results and tells us what is happening.
That's good. That's great.
Total ecstasy and excitement at the English High School, Obili Yaoundé, as candidates and parents consult the results pasted on the notice board.
I went for 4 papers and I had my 2 papers. I passed history and economics. I'm satisfied because I did my best.
I'm very proud to have succeeded in this exam. GC Advanced. I went in for 4 papers and I had 3 papers with fine grades. I'm very happy.
Some, like this lady, can hardly contain their joy.
Mon fils, il a réussi, il a eu ses 10 papiers, il est le meilleur de l'établissement. Je suis très très content. My boy is the best for the school. She having 10 papers.
Those who did not succeed shy away from the camera, while their successful classmates already have plans for the future.
I'm planning to go for a professional school and continue with economics like human resource management.
I plan to go to SWA to study political science.
Time for celebration now, but also time to start reflecting on what the future holds next for those who made it in flying colors this year.
We hear that over in the southwest region, it is total frenzy as parents whose children made it at the GCO and A levels are overjoyed. Successful candidates too have been expressing their feelings of extreme happiness. Charles Abuno got your reactions for this newscast.
The mood is understandably very joyful for students who succeeded in this year's session of the GCE examinations in the Southwest region.
I had 7 papers and I'm really happy that I had it. And I always knew I was supposed to have it normally.
I wrote the GCE and I had 3 papers. I'm very grateful that even though I never wanted to have 8 papers, I wrote 8. I was expecting to have 10 bread. I thank God for the 8 papers.
My brother, yes, the children wrote 3 of them. The first one wrote, we had 2 A level and 1 O level, and they have succeeded.
I registered 10 papers and I had all of the 10 papers, and I'm feeling very great now like this.
The successful candidates have advised their peers who did not make it not to be discouraged, but to work harder so as to pass next year.
Congratulations to successful candidates. From one student this time of most boarding schools in Yaoundé and other parts of the country have gone to school for the 2020-2021 school year. In Yaoundé, our team visited the Christian Comprehensive Secondary School in Kolbong to picture the ambience of day one for those from one and opposite students. His report.
Looking bright in their compound wears, from 5 and opposite students at CCSS in Kolbong, a purely Anglo-Saxon boarding school, are ready for Monday's effective classes. There are 300 of them in examination classes, but a total of 800 students are awaited, unlike the over 1,000 last year.
Today we will receive the Form 1 and new students who have been admitted into the school, and on Sunday, from Sunday the 4th, the rest of the school will come in and effective classes will start on Monday.
Cleaning the school environment, arranging the beds in the dormitories under the supervision of the administration is what keeps learners busy.
We orientate them on how to live in a purely boarding school, show them the limits of the school, read the school code of conduct to them.
The classrooms are also disinfected. In all, everything is set for the kickoff of the new school year. This in the fear of the Lord.
Over in Bamenda in the Northwest region, security has been stepped up ahead of back to school on Monday, October 5. Classrooms are being disinfected, school campuses cleaned as authorities, elites and communities are mobilizing for a hitch-free back to school. Details with our correspondents in the CRTV Northwest.
Parents and school attending children in Tumbo Donga Mantum Division joining the back-to-school campaign. They've been cleaning the classrooms and its surroundings as the reopening date draws closer. In Mantum Division, the mayor, Anthony Dingambong, has been giving the educational community school benches and other didactic materials. He's also been sensitizing them on the need to pull together to ensure a smooth start of classes on October 5th, 2020.
Their own school is at the outskirts. Please do your minimum that you can to support those who are doing here. Bring job. Let us be able to share like a family.
The Bamenda One Council on its part has been disinfecting some classrooms in the municipality. The administration has been making efforts towards tackling the security challenges faced by many here.
The governor requested that I should submit the names of teachers who have difficulties moving to the various work posts, and that is being done already. We're hopeful that before the week runs out, they'll be transported in a very safe manner to the various schools.
The regional governor has been holding preparatory meetings with educational officials wherein he's been reassuring them of safety measures.
Thank you very much, Eric Langmia-Wufo in Bamenda. This time, 243 graduates of the National School of Forestry in Balmayo have received their end of training diplomas and exhortations to be disciplined and committed to the training. They are graduating from the forestry school as junior management staff at the sub-regional level. Constantine Baum reports.
This is a class of 2018 and they make up the 71 batch of the National Forestry School in Balmayo. The 243 graduates include assistant forestry technicians and senior forestry technicians graduating under the eyes of the Secretary of State at the Ministry of Forestry and Wildlife.
They should remain resilient. We have sufficiently armed them with skills that will not make them to depend solely on government for recruitment, for employment, but they can also establish as independent entrepreneurs.
For 2 years, they have been trained and now have sufficient skills to hit the job market.
Our father of the nation, Mr. Paul Biya, should do something for us. We need an integration. We need a statue. And we are begging that it can even increase places when we are writing this integration.
Upon graduation from the National Forestry School, the laureates can work in state structures like the Ministry of Forestry and Wildlife, the Ministry of Environment and Protection of Nature, non-governmental organizations, as well as United Nations structures like the Food and Agricultural Organization, interstate structures, and other companies in the logging sector.
Orals of 2020 competitive entrance examinations into the public service will be conducted by video conferencing in all 10 regions in Cameroon. The new measure, announced by the Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, Joseph Lay, in a press briefing in Betoua, is one out of many intended to dematerialize and simplify administrative procedures in the Cameroon public service. How the measure will be applied, here is Emanuela Vermeuil.
Every successful candidate will have to go to any closest regional delegation of public service, irrespective of origin, to take the oral examinations.
This falls within the framework of providing online services, particularly the organization of the oral parts of government competitive examination by video conference. Equipment is also installed. The members of the juries will be based in Yaoundé.
This measure comes to cut long journeys, the spending of huge sums of money and risk associated with having to travel all the way to Yaoundé for the same purpose.
The changes are the length, duration, and cost of the journey.
The measure is one among many taken to dematerialize and simplify administrative procedures in the Cameroon public service, presented in a press briefing in Betoua. Minister Joseph Lay has also used the occasion to appraise the evolution of work at the Betoua Regional Delegation Annex, which seems on a good footing.
The African Organization for the Performance of Public Administrations and Councils, OAPAP, has come up with the constitution of the organization after the holding of the first board meeting of the structure in Yaoundé. Those who were newly commissioned to their functions have resolved to work towards the growth of the organization. Karine Sandra Eyike reports.
The newly installed board members of OAPAP have as mission accelerating the growth of the structure.
Basically, because I think we need African organizations to deal with African matters. The way we approach them is different always from other people. And I think we can bring our own genius and the essence of our personality, using our philosophies and our values.
In order to make Cameroon a more competitive country in the domain of administration, OAPAP seeks to participate in the emergence of the country through public services.
When we discover that there is a problem in an administration, we can organize campaign or offer our services for those who wish to reinforce their capacities in a particular domain.
Created in 2018 by ex-students of Administration and Democratic Institute in Cameroon, the newly commissioned will serve as a driving force to the organization.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Now we flip over to talk about the fight against COVID-19. Ministries in charge of education in Cameroon have stepped up the respect for anti-COVID measures 3 days to the start of the 2020-2021 school year. On what exactly has been done in collaboration with the Ministry of Public Health? Here is Baldwin Sama standing by at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. We update. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Benin Bumagana. We are 3 days to the start of the 2020-2021 school year, and a hitch-free school year in terms of COVID-19 is the concern of health professionals in the country, who have used the opportunity to outline a number of measures that have been taken so far by both the Ministry of Public Health and the different ministries concerned with education in the country, higher, basic and secondary education, with different sensitization campaigns ongoing, beginning with the parents and guardians themselves, who have been reminded of the need to ensure that before their kids leave for the different schools come Monday, October 5, they should have each a face mask, and they should equally make use of hand sanitizers when they are in these different schools. And they have equally talked about measures put in place in the different schools during the stay of the different pupils and students, given that there will be different shifts, and the physical distancing equally that will be respected while in school by these different pupils and students, so as to avoid any further contamination or the spread of the coronavirus. And they are equally using this opportunity to remind the pupils and students to strictly respect all these barrier measures, because if by so doing it is going to go a long way to help limit the spread of this virus. Come Monday, October 5, therefore, with the different educational systems in the country, the respect for the barrier measures is key, as health professionals will insist, so as to avoid an eventual second wave of the spread of this deadly virus in Cameroon. Back to you, Benin Bumagana.
And thank you very much, Baldwin Sama from Kamer. The challenges affecting mass construction of low-cost houses in Cameroon is one of the issues that came up during week-long activities in prelude to World Habitat Day on October 5. Experts say, though the state is an important actor in facilitating access to decent houses, there exist other methods such as cooperatives to help the average Cameroonian improve on their living conditions. Cynthia Saptala listened to the issues now at stake on how to increase the number of low-cost houses and reports.
Access to decent housing today is being heightened by the COVID-19 crisis, where people living in difficult conditions are the hardest hit. According to experts in urban development, addressing those challenges that affect mass construction are important.
Issues hindering mass construction of low-cost houses go from financial, technical and regulatory framework. It is equally important to note that it is not just the state that should act as the main actor in developing social housing units, but the state has an important role in terms of alleviating the cost.
Though the state partners with private investors and tries to diversify the supply of materials in order to reduce costs, officials say there are other means of increasing the current numbers of social houses.
I think cooperative housing comes out to be one of the measures that we can put in place.
Officials of the Ministry of Housing add that there are new projects for the construction of additional low-cost housing at the divisional headquarters in the nearest future.
On to this tragic story now. 3 persons have died after inhaling carbon dioxide all night from a generator in the Zouatupsi neighborhood in Bankomo here in the Central region. The 3 persons are members of the same family, and 4 other members of that family are in the hospital. According to explanations from the divisional officer of Bankomo, Janjim Batu Haruna, doctors say those in the hospital can survive. After power outages in Bankomo yesterday night, the family ignited the generator and left it in the house and were killed by the overdose of carbon dioxide. For a fun-filled weekend this time, we invite you to sit tight and note the following weekend rendezvous. You can take a day with Bisong Nevers for a worship night, or stay connected via social media with the new hit of the Urban Artist Dinner. Also take the date with cinema and fashion, as Joyce Tata tells us in our weekend cultural agenda.
Begin your weekend in an atmosphere of worship. Join Bisong Nevers and his crew tonight for a live DVD recording at the program Priesthood Worship Night. Carrefour Sepe Elixono in Yaoundé is the venue.
Simultaneously, Cameroon urban music artist Dina drops a new single tonight. This Saturday at some 5 p.m. Yaoundé hosts the final stage of the Phase of 237 Models competition. The program with host Sir Dulafe will witness artists like Karen, London Chick, Kitchen Boy, as well as others. Cinema lovers, this Sunday at some 10 a.m. you could watch on 3D the movie Mulan at the United Cinema Hall in Bankomo in the Central region. It's the last weekend before the school year kickstarts. Some fun would not be a bad idea, right?
Your job is to bring honor to the family.
Of course, Tata, will not be a bad idea. Out of Cameroon, the U.S. presidential couple Donald Trump and Melania Trump have tested positive for coronavirus and are now self-isolating. Mr. Trump's announcement on his Twitter handle comes just over a month before the presidential elections on November 3, where he faces Democratic challenger Joe Biden. Gladys Asu tells us more.
Donald Trump and Melania Trump are now COVID-19 positive. The president tweeted earlier today. It is an earth-shattering announcement mere weeks from Election Day. The president is 74 years old and has at least one underlying condition, placing him at a higher risk for complications, according to Centers for Disease Control guidance. But he is said to be feeling well. If Trump becomes too ill to lead the country, Vice President Mike Pence will be placed in charge. If Pence is also incapacitated, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi would be the most likely person to take over. The White House physician issued a memo saying the president and first lady are doing well and plan to remain at home. This will certainly affect Trump's rallies in 3 key states, Wisconsin, Florida and Arizona, as well as the next presidential debate, which is scheduled for October 15. Mr. Trump has mostly spurned mask wearing and has often been pictured not socially distanced with aides or others during official engagements. Some world leaders have sent messages of support to the U.S. presidential couple.
And in sports now, a 10-man team charged with the follow-up and implementation of the ruling of the Court of Arbitration for Sports, recognizing the legality of the Professional Football League in Cameroon, has been installed. Sports Minister Narcisse Moelle Kombi called on the team to work selflessly for the interests of football in Cameroon. Romeo Kenya reports.
An empty chair policy applied by Fcfa president and some close aides invited in a gathering convened by Sport and Physical Education Minister Professor Narcisse Moelle Kombi, 10 carefully selected persons and installed. They are called upon to find long-lasting solutions to problems plaguing the LFPC and the country's FA. An effective implementation of the decision of the Court of Arbitration for Sport, released last September 14, that stipulates the LFPC is the only competent body to organize local leagues in Cameroon, is expected of them. To achieve this, efficacy, love for the game, while putting aside personal interest, must reign supreme.
The tribunal has made the law, and we have just to apply the law.
The newly commissioned have just 2 weeks to get the work done so as to pave the way for the start of a new football season. This move is to minimize any incidents of embarrassment as the country looks forward hosting Africa come January 2021.
Thank you very much for watching the 7:30 news. At 8:30, Altaba Dinoma will be here for the version in French. Another newscast will be yours at midnight. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:30 for what is making news in Cameroon and out of Cameroon. Keep watching the CRTV. Good night and God bless you.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing.
rond-point du Premier ministère dans la ville de Yaoundé. Pour ceux qui connaissent, et nous avons bien voulu partager cette ambiance avec vous. La rentrée scolaire approche à grands pas. Mais êtes-vous sûr d'être à jour sur la liste des manuels scolaires au programme? Bienvenue à toutes et à tous dans votre programme. Voici la solution. Au sommaire de ce numéro, manuels et fournitures scolaires, les bons points, les astuces et conseils pour faire de bonnes affaires en cette veille de rentrée scolaire. Nous irons à la rencontre de notre expert pour mieux comprendre le principe de bourse aux livres. Les parents, quant à eux, nous parlent de leurs approches pour se procurer les manuels à moindre coût. Mais tout de suite...
Parce qu'aucune épreuve ne doit vous empêcher de croire en l'avenir, solidaires et engagés à vos côtés, nous vous renouvelons notre confiance pour vous aider à réaliser vos projets aujourd'hui et demain.
Ne t'inquiète pas, bientôt tu iras à l'école et tu retrouveras tes amis.
FCB Cameroun, croire en vous.
Nido Forte Croissance contient les nutriments essentiels pour aider votre enfant à être croissance, immunité et apprendre. Nido, votre amour, leur avenir.
Nestlé, good food, good life.
Si on vous donne